I'm so excited that you guys are all here. So I have a feeling that some of you don't know what a capstone is, so I'm just going to tell you. The capstone is the final protective stone that forms the top of something being built. It's the culmination of the blood, the sweat, and the tears that go into creating a masterpiece. It's the final touch, the last effort, the push for completion. Students everywhere leave their undergraduate education with so many emotions. They're excited, they're confused, and sometimes they have a primal fear. They're riddled with questions like, what did I just do for the last 4 to 6 years? What am I going to do now? Did I stay long enough? Did I incubate long enough to join the workforce? Am I good, strong, smart enough? Do I have what it takes? This capstone process is multifaceted. It's a journey of exploration into those questions, and also the questions of our innermost selves. The 3 students that will speak to you today have taken a dive into their hearts, minds, and their educations. They've done the work of building the foundation for their future, and I've been lucky enough to watch this process, to see them become pregnant with an idea and watch it develop into something beautiful. It's my honor and my pleasure to watch 3 women who will most certainly change the world for the better speak to you today from their hearts. They have fearlessly sought threads or connections that have always been present within their souls. And they have built upon those threads to create the masterpiece of this talk and of their future. We'll start today hearing from Jen. Jen is a powerhouse. As today is a Veterans Day, and I mean every day, it's important to acknowledge that she's a woman who has served our country. She's an intuitive energy coach. She has her master's in education and counseling, has raised 2 beautiful children, and she's been a light in my life for the past several years. She's an expert on gardening and all things green. Please join me in welcoming my friend and fellow warrior woman, Jen.
There's one here. We're all familiar with Claude Monet, the famous French artist and impressionist who has contributed some of the most stunningly beautiful portraits of nature. But I wonder if you know that he suffered from deep, debilitating depression. And he attributes his healing to one of his greatest passions in life. And it wasn't painting, it was gardening. When he realized the full impact that gardening had on his healing, he set out to paint it for the people of France in hopes that those paintings could help heal the wounds of that war-torn nation as well as it had healed him. I too was able to catch a glimpse into the magical healing realm of gardening. Several years ago, I went through a physically and emotionally challenging time in my life. It was tough, and it left me feeling pretty raw and vulnerable. But during that time, my family and I happened to move into a home that happened to have a garden. And I'll be honest with you, at first, I just saw a lot of work. But as I began to spend time and work in that garden, I started to feel a sense of calm and peace that I really hadn't experienced in years. As I worked with the soil, I kind of felt this living energy emanate from the ground. And I allowed my fingers and my toes to dig deep into that life force. I would plant seedlings and nurture them and water them, and I would celebrate their growth like I would my own child's. And I would find myself covered in dirt and sweat and grime, but I got into this rhythmic motion, my breath drowning out everything except for the chirping birds or the trickling water. And at the end of the day, I would be exhausted with aching muscles and blistered hands, but really with a happy spirit. I began to feel connected and nurtured and rejuvenated, which began my love into gardening and my personal journey into healing. I'm eager to share with you the amazing healing benefits gardening has to provide, but even more powerful than that aspect, an unexpected discovery emerged as I took part in this creative process of putting this presentation together. And it's a discovery that any one of us can make, and which I feel has the ability to impact humanity at a quantum level. Before I share that with you, let's dive into the health benefits, the amazing healing benefits of gardening. So what is it about gardening that is so magical, that's so gratifying for so many? Well, it turns out we are hardwired with an innate primal love of nature. It's in our DNA. Edward Wilson coined this connection biophilia. Biophilia. It's that pulling toward, that yearning to be in and around nature. In our fast-paced, technology-driven lives, we've become grossly disconnected with this crucial part of our humanity. And recent studies show that this disconnect has a direct impact on our overall health. And it's been shown that when we immerse ourselves in green, natural environments, that's when our overall health improves. There is a vast array of compelling evidence indicating the healing benefits of gardening, the psychological, physical, and cognitive. And it ranges from a decrease in our stress and our anxiety and our depression to the lowering of our heart rate and blood pressure and our raising of our cognitive functioning and self-esteem. And today, researchers are beginning to crack the code as to why gardening specifically is such a powerful healing agent. And one of the reasons this may be the case, contrary to what your mother may have told you, is dirt's good for us. There's been a recent discovery of a bacteria found in soil that sparks the same neurons that are stimulated in antidepressants like Prozac. Neuroscientist Chris Lowry published an article in 2007 called, "Is Dirt the New Prozac?" According to his research, that microbe in the soil triggers the release of serotonin, which is a key hormone responsible for making us feel happy, relaxed, and self-confident. It also was shown to boost our immune system and to decrease inflammation. So no wonder digging in the dirt feels so rewarding. We're breathing in happy chemicals as we crawl around digging up weeds or planting seeds. Another reason why gardening may be so good for us is it can provide an enriched sense of purpose and meaning. And that's important because when we have that in our lives, we have less stress, less depression, and we tend to live longer. That appears to be particularly important to Alzheimer's patients. There was a study conducted in 2010 that showed that when Alzheimer's patients participated in simple gardening tasks over a 4-week period, they had a dramatic decrease in their anxiety, in their agitation, and their social withdrawal, which then led to a decrease in their need for antipsychotic drugs. This led the president of that facility to remark, "We need to start asking ourselves, would we rather spend money on drugs, or would we rather spend money on flowers?" Hey, well, given that choice, my vote's for flowers. Even deeper than feeling that sense of purpose, there's this magical, mystical thing that can happen in a garden. Yeah, I see some head nods, yep. There'll be times that I'll go out to do a few simple tasks, and the next thing I know, I've become mesmerized by the texture of a lamb's ear leaf, or watching a ladybug crawl up a towering sunflower. In those moments, I have this heightened awareness of the profound beauty and magic of nature. I forget myself, and I'm fully present, simply observing and being without thought or judgment. That magical world I've entered into are what researchers call flow, and some others refer to it as being in the zone. According to psychologist Claire Cooper, when we're looking intensely at something or we bend down to smell something, we bypass that analytical functioning part of our minds, and we naturally stop thinking or obsessing and worrying. And we're brought into that present moment. And being in and experiencing that mind state is highly correlated with our happiness, with our life satisfaction, and our well-being. And I think we can agree, we all want more of that. There's so much research indicating the healing benefits of gardening that now mainstream physicians in England are prescribing it to their patients. Renowned physician Sir Richard Thompson is the president of the Royal College of Physicians. He's a leading advocate for prescribing gardening to his stroke and depressed patients. He's observed that planting and pruning can be more effective than prescription drugs, and it's certainly more cost effective. He suggests that anyone in the healing profession prescribe gardening to their patients and sit back and see what happens. So, can you imagine? You're not feeling well, so you make an appointment with your doctor, and you go in and you share your symptoms with him, and he hands you a hoe and a bag of compost. That's essentially what's going on in England. Taking this idea even further, the National Health Services of England are now considering incorporating gardens and gardening into their public health policy. They're currently reviewing a comprehensive report that was submitted by the King's Fund and that pulled together all of the relevant evidence of the health benefits of gardening with a recommendation that they begin to include this therapy into their annual strategic plan. That's remarkable. Clearly, the UK is leading the way in this really unique aspect of healthcare. And it's my hope that the US takes note and begins to consider bringing it into our healthcare system as well. So as you can see, the healing benefits of gardening are tremendous. And the fact that those benefits are now being recognized by the scientific and political communities, well, that's thrilling for me. But as I mentioned earlier, I was having a hard time putting my finger on something. I felt like I was missing something deeper and more profound that gardening provides for me than what I've already covered. As I delved into this material and I moved through this this journey that this capstone class is designed to take us, I was stretched, I was pulled, and I was led to dig deeper than I had expected. Subsequently, something emerged that I really hadn't realized was there. What I realized during this process is, for me, gardening is a conduit. It's a conduit to the sacred, into the divine. There'll be times that I walk into my garden or my greenhouse and I feel like I've been pulled into this magical vortex, and I experience this rush of joy, and I'm in an instant state of awe and reverence for the plants around me. I may bend down to breathe in that potent, spicy scent of my tomatoes and silently send them heartfelt love and gratitude. And it's in those moments that I feel this deep connection to the energy of that plant. And I have this innate knowing that I'm an integral part of this awe-inspiring life force. And I'm connected to the whole. That's the element, the undefined element that holds such significance for me. Gardening is a channel into the sacred. And here's the thing. Finding and nurturing that channel, it's a personal discovery for each of us, wherever or whatever that may be. But I believe it's a vital one if we intend to fully experience what it is to be human, and to better understand that we're all connected to one another and to everything around us.